So I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis when I was turning 15, between 14 and 15. It took me a while to be diagnosed. It was pretty traumatic. I was in school. I was at the time having a really, really aggressive flare of it because we didn't know what it was. So it went on for 6 months. I was going to the toilet at the time maybe 16 times a day.
Wow.
Trying to do my exams. I ended up in the hospital. My iron levels had dropped. My hemoglobin had dropped to, I think, 4.2 or something. And I had to have blood transfusions. I lost a lot of blood. I was very, very, very anemic, going to bed with a coat and scarf and gloves and 2 pairs of trousers. I was really ill, nearly fainting all the time. So yeah, it was pretty bad. For the past maybe 2 years, I've just been trying to get a hold of it. It was getting worse and worse. I had a fear of food because I'd gotten to a point where I didn't know what I could eat anymore. I tried every medication, I think, apart from one, which is infliximab. I've tried everything else. And I ended up in the hospital having a really bad flare. So I got pancolitis.
Yeah.
Well, all of your bowel is inflamed. So my symptoms, even though I was on high dosage of steroids in the hospital, I tried all the medication. I tried cutting out all the foods that I knew that I had to cut out. It had gotten to a point where I was still bleeding a lot, still had lots of mucus, was still really fatigued, bloating, gas. The pain was like, I want to say like 12 out of 10, but I'll say 9 out of 10. You have to compare it to, maybe being shot or something. It's probably a 9 out of 10, but it was very, very, very bad. And yeah, it got to the point where I had no other options. I didn't want to have the operation. The surgeons were coming in my room every single day and saying to me, we need to remove your bowel. It's dangerous now.
What are your symptoms now?
Okay, so I'm really excited to tell you this because we shared this earlier. So first of all, the most dramatic thing is my pain levels, which were at a 12 out of 10, but to not be dramatic because, there are a 0 out of 10. So if you had have met me when Armand met me in the hospital, I was in a very bad way. Yeah, let's just put it like that. So now I'm so happy all the time. I had very bad anxiety, probably a 9 out of 10 as well. Now I have no anxiety, so 0 out of 10. There's been no blood for about 2 months.
Wow.
Which is amazing because at the time they couldn't stop the bleeding. Even when I was on the steroids, even with the Stelara.
Yep.
And all the medications, nothing stopped the bleeding until you guys helped me with some type of detox that really helped stop the bleeding. There's been no blood ever since.
How many bowel movements a day do you have?
I have 1 a day.
Wow.
I know. Honestly, if you guys would have told me that this could happen, I would have done this 10 years ago, I would have given you everything. Yeah.
Well, keep going. So what else? Are you having any diarrhea, any urgency? Are you still on steroids?
Okay, so I'm not on steroids.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
we got rid of those. And you were on steroids before, so sick.
Yeah, and I was really bad in the steroids. Not working. As far as diarrhea goes, when I first started this, I was wearing nappies. I couldn't even make it to the toilet in the same, when you're in the hospital and you have the toilet in the same room. Yeah. I couldn't even make it a few steps to the toilet. I have the best energy. My iron levels as well are completely normal, which I don't think I've ever had normal iron levels ever from when I was. They would always drop. I'd take something and they'd drop again. And even in the hospital, I had 2 blood transfusions, and I was still bleeding. I still lost the blood. I was still very pale. But yeah, recently I'm able to eat a lot more food. I'm digesting more. I'm having fruits and vegetables that I was scared to have before. I had a phobia of fruits and vegetables because I thought fiber was the enemy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still maintaining my iron levels.
So your blood work's normal, and what did your calprotectin just come back at?
26.
Wow.
So yeah, in the beginning, I mean, even after I'd started the course, in the very beginning, the S.H.I.E.L.D program, I had a fecal cal of 2,100, and this was even after I'd been on all the steroids, had some of the how, started the
Stelara. Yeah.
Stelara, and some of the other things. So that was in the beginning, even after all of the drugs, and then 3 months later or 2 months later, it's now at 26. So it's come down. When I was in the hospital, I came across this program, and the first thing I thought was, how am I going to be able to afford to do this?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time we rely on the hospitals in the UK because it's free. So we just think, oh, free. I think even some of the injections or infusions are like maybe £10,000 or something, but we get them for free. So it's like, okay, it's free. We'll just take what the doctors give us. So when I came across this, it looked amazing, but I almost thought, I've got to pay for my own healthcare. But it looked so great that I was just desperate to try it, and so yeah, I thought, let me give it everything that I can. I didn't want to lose my bowel. I thought it's worth, even if I have to take a loan, even if I have to sell my things, whatever I need to do. It's my health, it's my bowel. I don't want to lose it. This is my last option. So I got all my friends and family together. I shared my story, which, bearing in mind, for many years people didn't know I had Crohn's or colitis. They didn't know about Crohn's or colitis. I was very private. I would post very glamorous pictures, pretend to be okay. So for me, it was a big deal a few years ago to share a little bit about the condition, but now to really tell people how vulnerable I was. So I shared my story to all of my friends and family, told them, you guys, I'm desperate, I need your help. And people were so kind. I created a GoFundMe page. I shared updates on everything that was going on at the time so they could be involved, spread awareness. And yeah, I think within a day, I raised enough to fund the program.
Wow.
It was amazing. It was so empowering for me as well, because it made me want to be twice as disciplined. Armand, when he spoke to me, I was in the hospital with a swollen steroid face. I was scared. I didn't believe half of the things that I wanted to believe, but he believed for me, if that makes sense, because he'd been through it. So it was kind of like speaking to the version of me now, where I'm like, you guys, it works. I've seen it work, but I wasn't at that stage then. So he kind of, he believed for me, and he allowed me to dream. And I think the most important thing about taking part in this program and getting advice from you guys is to really believe and change your mindset and believe that there is a cure out there. I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that this has happened for me, because you see other people's stories and you think, could this really happen for me? Could this happen for me? But I just want to let you know that if you are suffering, I understand, and you can get healed. You can have those options. Everything will be okay, but sometimes you have to take charge of your own options and of your own health. And there's no easy pill that you can take where everything's just going to go away. You really need to learn and to take control over your health. And I promise you, you will get the answers.